I'm Sakisa Berry of loveandtouch.com, and I'm sitting here today with the beautiful Shanti On.
Yes.
On this segment, we dispel a lot of the myths associated with maternal health, not only here in America, but also throughout the diaspora as it relates to people of color. So, Shanti On, we had you on a radio show earlier today, and you made some very key points about circumcision. On misconceptions about conception, we like to have what we call hot topics. And those are those controversial topics within maternal health. And circumcision is definitely one. And so on the radio show today, Shanti, you made some very crucial points about circumcision. Please, would you elaborate on that?
So yes, again, the first thing that comes to mind is that it's not medically necessary. You know, like we have been continuing this tradition for years, and we don't really have a good reason for why we're continuing to, engage in this practice. We're quick to look at female circumcision and recognize just how heinous it is, for little girls. But we look at circumcision for little boys as, oh, this is normal, this is natural. This is what we're supposed to do for little boys because little boys don't know how to clean themselves. And I think that's a very weak excuse to continue with this practice. The same way that you can teach a little girl how to care for her genitalia, to wipe from front to back so that she doesn't experience, unnecessary bacteria. You can teach little boys to clean around the head of their penis, the same way without having to traumatize them with this practice.
I think we should explain also for our viewers what circumcision is. I just kind of dived in there.
Yes.
Like everybody knows what that is, and I have to take for granted that everyone does not.
That's true.
So can we please explain what a circumcision is?
So you're removing the foreskin of the penis.
Okay, and what is that?
That's the extra little flap of skin that covers the head of the penis.
Right.
That's
the turtleneck.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. That is a turtleneck. Exactly. And the attitudes that we even have about men who've been uncircumcised. Oh, their penises look ugly, and they, smell, whatever the case may be. It's about changing the mindset.
True.
Again, of what is one natural, and again, just recognizing that the practice is just unnecessary. And what I was saying earlier, not only are you desensitizing men, I believe, through the cutting of that foreskin, that desensitization transfers to, an emotional desensitization that I think that happens. And I feel like that has a lot to do with the disconnection sometimes that men feel from their own sensitivity. Their
That's
emotional
powerful.
sensitivity.
That's powerful, because there are a lot of nerve endings in the head of the penis. I've had the opportunity to discourage two adult males, from circumcision. One was in his late 20s, and another young man was 18. And the 18-year-old was from the Dominican, ironically, and or should I say coincidentally, the 20-plus-year-old was from Haiti. And neither of these men were circumcised, and they had been ridiculed. And both of them, the 18-year-old was now experimenting with sex, and he was getting these antagonistic remarks from girls. And then the older man was about to get married, and one of the terms from his fiance was that he needed to get circumcised before they get married. And in my counseling, I let them know circumcision is something, first of all, my belief system is if the creator or the creatress did not want it there, it wouldn't be there. At one point in time, we would quickly remove the tonsils. I remember when I was a young girl, it was very common for people to have their tonsils removed before we realized what the tonsils were necessary for. And the same for the appendix. And now we're doing this, or I shouldn't say now, but for centuries, people have been removing the skin from the foreskin of the penis. And so if you remove it at an older age, once a male discovers himself, and if anybody has male children, we babysit a little male now, and he's about 6 months, and he's starting to already reach down and find himself. And so truthfully, the science says once they discover themselves, and what happens in this process is as you touch any part of your body, the more you touch that area, you strengthen the neurons. You strengthen the neurological connection from the brain to that space. So with the head of the penis, the more they touch it, the more they fondle it, the more they come in contact with it, they're strengthening the connection between the head of the penis and the brain. And so the older you are, if you do circumcision, you really put yourself at risk of great disparities from impotency to suicide, depression. A lot of these things are connected because you've removed, they say, upwards of 50% of your sensation. So if you're a male that, again, has began to discover themselves, whether it was masturbation or you've already had sex, and then now you go and cut off a tremendous part of the neurological response, you can see how they will be vulnerable now to impotency. And that's no fun,
No.
I'm sure, for anyone involved. So I love how you put it emotionally, and how my audience is laughing. So I love how you put it, the emotional disconnect that also is related, or you believe is related to circumcision. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
I wanted to take it a step further because I attended this workshop maybe about a month or so ago, and it was entitled "How to Heal a Man's Heart." And
brothers need healing.
Yeah, definitely. It was a brother who taught the workshop, and one of the most profound things that he said that I took away from it, he said, women, we hold